Judaism is an ancient monotheistic religion with the Torah as its foundational text and supplemental oral tradition represented by later texts such as the Midrash and the Talmud. Judaism is one of the oldest monotheistic religions and was founded over 3,500 years ago in the Middle East. Jews believe that God appointed the Jews to be his chosen people in order to set an example of holiness and ethical behavior to the world. Jews believe God is the creator of all that exists. He is one, incorporeal, which means without a body, and he is alone to be worshipped as the absolute ruler of the universe. Judaism can be dated back to the time of Moses, though the seeds of Judaism can be traced back to the time of Abraham. Even though Judaism is a minority group, throughout history, Jews have contributed substantially to the history of the world, particularly the Western world. Most of the time during history, Jews are found on the run or controlled by foreign governments. The first 5 books of the Hebrew Bible are revealed to Moses by God. They will not be changed or argumented in the future. Around 1050 BCE, the oral tradition of Hebrew people began to be transcribed into the Torah, which is one of the most sacred documents of Judaism. Although Christians base much of their faith on the same Hebrew scriptures as we do, there are major differences in belief. Jews generally consider actions and behavior to be of primary importance. Beliefs come out of actions. This conflicts with conservative Christians for whom belief is of primary importance and action are a result of that belief. Beliefs about Jesus are very different. Some view him as a great moral teacher. Others see him as a false prophet or an idol of Christianity. Some people in Judaism will not even say his name due to the prohibition against saying an idol's name. Jews believe that the Messiah will arrive in the future and gather Jews once more into the land of Israel. There will be a general resurrection of the dead at the time. The Jews are often referred to as God's chosen people. This does not mean that they are in any way to be considered superior to other groups. Bible verses such as Exodus chapter 19, verse 5 simply state that God has selected Israel to receive the study the Torah, to worship God only, to rest on the Sabbath, and to celebrate the festivals. Jews were not chosen to be better than others. They were simply selected to be a light to the Gentiles and to be a blessing to all the nations.
What is the relationship between Islam, Christianity, and Judaism? According to the Quran, there is only one religion, submission to God, in Arabic Islam. Those who submit are Muslims, literally submitters. This not only the religion belief that all humans are born knowing instinctively, it's also the only religion that God's prophets have taught throughout history all around the world. All religious traditions that deviate from this primordial faith, which received its final form in Muhammad's teachings, are deviations caused by humans' inability to resist their own weaknesses and sinful inclinations. From the Muslim perspective, then, Judaism and Christianity are two religions. They were originally based on God's revelations to true prophets, in the case of Judaism, the Torah of Moses, and in the case of Christianity, the Gospel of Jesus. But the followers of Moses and Jesus corrupted their original teachings. In the case of Judaism, introducing beliefs such as Jews as religiously exceptional, and in the case of Christianity, ascribing divinity to Jesus. The Quran speeds a great deal of time urging Christians and Jews to abandon and correct these beliefs, drawing on Old Testament stories such as the fall of Adam and his spouse from Eden. the deliverance of the Jews from Egypt at the hands of Moses, and the saga of Joseph. The Quranic version of these stories differ from those known in Judaism and Christianity, and the differences emphasize areas in which the Quran says that those earlier communities have erred. Jesus was born of the Virgin Mary, healed lepers, and raised the dead from the grave. But in the Quran, Jesus states that he is but a word from God, a mortal man like any other. The Jews were brought forth from Pharaoh's persecution, faltered in Sinai, and were led to the Promised Land. But in the Quran, their standings with God depend solely on their pity and devotion to Him. In an important way, however, Christianity and Judaism are not just two religions of the world's many faiths. The Quran identifies them both with and calls them both back to the Prophet for whom Muhammad is the ultimate heir, the figure whom the Quran promotes as the ultimate monotheist, Abraham. The notion of Abraham legacy of pure monotheism, abandoned by Christians and Jews, according to the Quran, but restored by Muhammad, is a central theme in Islam. The major similarity between these three religions is that they are all monotheistic. This means that they believe in only one God. Furthermore, many people would say they all believe in the same God. Since there are only three major religions in the world to believe in monotheism, this is a very important similarity. Because the three religions believe in the same God, they also believe in some of the same scriptures. Only Judaism does not believe in the scriptures of either of the other faiths. The holy book of Judaism is the Tanakh, which corresponds closely to the Christian Old Testament. Christians believe in the authenticity of the Old Testament, but they believe the New Testament is also the Word of God. Muslims believe in the legitimacy of both the Old and New Testaments. However, they believe that those scriptures have become corrupted in some ways, and that the mistakes in those scriptures have corrected when God revealed the Quran to Muhammad. Thus, the three faiths believe in some of the same scriptures, in some different scriptures. Islam, Judaism, and Christianity are considered Abrahamic religions. This means they are all worship the God of Abraham. Because of language differences, they call God by different names, but they are one and the same. They believe that God is the creator of the universe. The three faiths are fiercely monotheistic. All three religions also originated from Southwest Asia. Judaism and Christianity originated from present-day Israel. Adherents of the three faiths believe that there are prophets that God has sent to teach the people. Judaism, Christianity, and Islam share many of the same stories of prophets in their holy books. All three religions believe that followers are required to obey a moral code that have been presented by the prophets. Judaism, Islam, and Christianity all consider Jerusalem an important holy site, but for different reasons. There are key differences between three Abrahamic religions. Christians believe that Jesus was God incarnate and Messiah that allowed followers to enter heaven. Judaism and Islam recognize Jesus as a prophet and do not assign divinity to the man. Muslims believe that Muhammad was the last and greatest prophet, but they do not consider him divine. While Islam and Christianity believe in a day of judgment, salvation, or damnation, Judaism does not.